I'm in the process of doing a video that I'm going to be adding. Either make a separate video or add it to this one. I had a heart attack. Yeah, I had a heart attack, man. So, uh, Friday, that would have been what, the 28th? Yeah, 20, no, wait, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday was the first. So yeah, so it would have been the 30th, I think. The 30th of September. Um, I'm on my bed and I'm typing something on my computer, laying on my gut. And I remember looking at the clock and it said like 12 and like '08, but it was like 8 seconds or something. And I thought, damn it, another night of no sleep. Because for about 4 days, I was averaging about 3 hours of sleep, maybe, if I'm lucky. And I was just so tired I couldn't think, you know. And in fact, that day I went home early from work so I could try to sleep because they noticed it's like, this guy is not clicking, dude. And so I remember looking at it. It's at 12:08, and then I adjust my arms, you know, bam, and shoulder to shoulder, across the whole chest. It just there's like a really bad discomfort, and you can call it pain, I guess. Um, some people say, "Oh, it feels like an elephant sitting on your chest." It didn't for me. It didn't for me. What it felt like was like I overexerted myself doing cardio in the middle of the winter, and where you're breathing in cold air. And then it felt like if I were to grab a curling bar and do 50% of my max and keep doing curls to failure, wait for 15 minutes and then do it again, and then keep doing it all day long until you go to sleep. And how you would feel in your arms, like in a few days, how the tendons would hurt, the bone would hurt, just everything would hurt across the chest. Um, Center of the back, between the shoulder blades, and it's kind of like a burning. It's kind of like a burning and radiating feeling. There's really nothing that I can use to describe it too much. Um, Pain going down the left arm, a little bit up here, and the pain for the left arm I can see. All of these I can kind of describe, but they're weird events that happen to you throughout your life. Um, and it's not going to happen to everybody. But have you ever sneezed really hard? And when you sneeze really hard, it just felt like every vein up here, like in both shoulders, every vein was going to explode. That, that feeling, pow, except it goes like through your armpit and down. And it's just like, ooh, that one hurts. Um, but at first I'm like, oh my God, am I spasming? Like, am I having a Charlie horse or something? Like, because I'm like, ah. Um, but then I started breaking out in a cold sweat. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I had what I call fluttering anxiety, where it's like you'll have this weird anxiety rush, and then it kind of flutters and it goes away. And then you have another one that goes away. Um, and it started becoming kind of hard to breathe. And it's not hard to breathe like somebody sitting on my chest. It's hard to breathe like I'm not getting any oxygen. Right? That's probably the best way to put it. Um, but I stood up and I was shaking my arms, seeing if it was like something muscular. It wasn't. So I went downstairs and I told my wife, I think I'm having a heart attack. I need you to take me to the hospital. So I show up at the hospital like maybe 10 minutes later, because we live fairly close to a hospital and there was no traffic because of the time of day. And they're doing tests, bam, 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 bam. And they keep coming back saying, your EKG looks good. Oh, your first set of blood work, it looks good. you know and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what? How can it be? Because I'm in, they say, on the level of discomfort or pain, what is it on a 0 to 10? And I'm like, mine's about an 8. you know I can handle it. If I have to, if that's what it's going to be like for the rest of my life, I guess I have to. But I would prefer it to go away, you know, because I was really tired. I wanted to go to sleep. At that point, I had been up for not quite, not. I would say at that point it was right around 18 hours, 20 hours since but before that was only like 3 hours of sleep. Then and that I was up for once again like 21 hours and like 3 hours sleep. So I'm dying for sleep. The RN comes in and he goes, you might be suffering from angina. I said, but with a healthy heart. He goes, yeah, you can have it. He goes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something under your tongue, and if it helps with the pain, then we know that the pain is coming from your heart. I said, oh, you're going to give me nitro? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. I know what nitro is and how they use it. I just never used it before. So he puts the nitroglycerin under my tongue, and I taste a little sweetness, but then all of a sudden it's like peppery. It's like spicy, And I don't know if other people taste that, but to me it tasted spicy, like a pepper, like black pepper, but a little spicier than black pepper. And it dissolves really quick, and then maybe 20, 30 seconds later, you have your blood go boom, 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 like you can feel the pressure. But hey, 30 seconds, 40 seconds later, my pain was down to a 2. And then they're like, okay, yeah, so something's going on with the heart. And they said, we're doing more tests, but they take longer to do, right? Some of them are like 2 hours. So they end up just having me sit there, and they're like, try to get some rest. Impossible, right? And it's not because I was worried. It's not because I was afraid. I was just inconvenienced. Some people say that's a weird way to put it, Will. Yeah, I am not afraid of death, right? I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of hospitals. I'm not afraid of blood. I'm not afraid of surgery. I'm not afraid of all the bad things that can happen in one's life. I deal with them when they happen, and then I just accept it. It's like, well, this is what it is, and then so I just don't have any fear. And it's not because I'm like the macho man, yeah. It's not because I'm like the macho man. It's just because it's my perspective on life. There's nothing to fear, Everything always ends up working out anyway. Even if bad things happen and you die, you're still okay. You're still okay, Death isn't punishment for anything. It's just part of life. And if it's your time, it's your time. Don't get greedy. Yeah, a lot of people are wondering how it's like, that's scary shit. And I'm like, I guess for other people, but for me, no. I can't think of anything that would scare me. Maybe being on top of a cliff and then, having people run and throw me off or something without a parachute or something. I wouldn't really care for that because I'm thinking about the landing, But the landing would be fast. It would, at the end of the day, even that would be okay. As long as you can stay calm on the way down, even that would be... Anyway, that goes into a different thing. But I don't really like heights. But the thing comes back, the tests come back, and they're like, so these particular enzymes or proteins or whatever, I think it's enzymes, are supposed to be 0 to 10, right? That's what's considered acceptable. And, yours are at like 257. And these enzymes are basically the enzymes that, or proteins, I can't remember if it's an enzyme or a protein, that when your heart is not getting enough oxygen, certain cells start dying. And when they start dying, it releases these. And so they're like, something in your heart is basically dying because it's not getting enough oxygen. They're like, you're not leaving. So I told my wife, you might as well just go home. I'm stuck here. And they have to keep doing tests until they can figure out what's going on. And she felt bad because she's like, well, I'm like, she's like, I feel like I should stay. I feel guilty. And I'm like, no, because she was trying to sleep too, but she couldn't. And like for me, I couldn't sleep because I have a low heart rate. So anytime that your heart rate goes below 50, this alarm goes off of the things that you're hooked up to, and it just wakes you up. You can't get any sleep if you're somebody like me, you know. And so I kept getting awakened. I have a clip of that I'm going to be showing in my other. I guess I'll do it in my other video. This will be like the precursor to it, because there's it's bits and pieces of that event. What's it like to have a heart attack, pretty much, as it's going on. But eventually, around 11 in the morning, so I've been there for 10 and a half hours doing tests, trying to get any type of sleep I can, which I got none. They end up sending me down to nuclear medicine. In nuclear medicine, they end up doing a stress test on me, and they end up giving me an injection of contrast. I guess it's radioactive. And they throw me on this table, and they're throwing all these x-rays through me. And basically it works like this. They should be able to see the radioactive contrast in all of my arteries. And if they don't, well, they're blocked. Okay? And then at the end of that, they said, oh, well, that's abnormal. It's like there's two arteries that are not getting anything. And they also said that, and I heard one of the doctors say, when they were looking at the ultrasound, going, that's abnormal. But they still haven't told me anything yet. But they put me back into my room, and I'm just sitting there waiting. And doctor comes in. He goes, you had a heart attack. He goes, we know that. He goes, you have 2 clogged arteries. Thing is our facility doesn't have any, basically, cardiologists that can do any type of procedures or anything, and we don't have the equipment, we don't have the facility for it. Which is weird for a hospital to be like that when heart problems are a leading cause of death. That's weird, right? That was Pomerado Hospital in Poway, by the way. And they said, we're going to transport you to Palomar Medical Center, which is Palomar Hospital. And then so they end up sending me down there. They have the paramedics take me down there. And I finally get a little bit of sleep before the paramedics get there. Maybe an hour or two. And they wake me up. So I'm like, okay, so I've got 2 hours after about 30 hours of being awake. Okay. And then they're like, oh, did you like your lunch? The nurse. And I'm like, what lunch? And they're like, oh, the one that's over there in the corner. Well, they put me, because I said I was a fall hazard, they put an alarm on my bed. So I couldn't get off my bed. They wouldn't let me off my bed. So how am I supposed to get to that lunch? Right? And then the breakfast they gave, anyway, oh my God. When I start talking about the hospital staff as far as the food goes, and the kitchen, the dietitians, so incompetent and bad. I don't have anything good to say about any of them at either hospital. I don't have anything good to say about either. It's absolutely amazing how bad they are. But anyway, so they send me to the other hospital. I still don't know anything about what has caused the heart attack other than I've got clogged arteries, 2 of them. They found something abnormal, but they never told me what it was. And then when I get there to the hospital, there's an RN waiting for me and this other guy. And I think it might have been another RN. And Corey was her name. I remember her name because she reminded me of Courtney Cox a little bit, like appearance-wise, just a little bit, like a younger Courtney Cox. they said, so we don't have anybody until Monday morning, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to keep you on blood thinners, just keep monitoring you, make sure nothing happens or gets worse. And then if something does, then what we're going to do is we'll call somebody in to do an emergency procedure. But right now, we're just going to kind of keep an eye on you and and try to keep you at a level where it doesn't really do much damage or anything like that. You don't have any other heart attacks. And because at that time, I didn't really have any chest pain anymore. I just felt really worn out and beat up and whatnot. But I still had my clogged arteries. So for the next day and a half, I'm just kind of sitting there with my thumb up my butt, waiting to have this procedure done, because the procedure was going to be, they're going through my arteries in my leg and my femoral artery, and they're just going to look around, and depending on what they find, they're going to end up making the executive decision at that point on how they're going to end up taking care of it. At that point, they figured it was going to be stents, because they thought it was clogged arteries due to cholesterol. That's what they figured, because my cholesterol's high. But they won't know until they do it. So Monday morning shows up, and they prep me for the procedure. It's kind of like a surgery, but it's not a surgery. They call it a procedure, but it's a surgery, but it's not a surgery. They cut you open, they cut open your artery, they stick a whole bunch of stuff in there, they remove stuff, or they put stuff in, and then they patch you back up. That's a surgery, But I don't know. But you're under anesthesia, but you're not under 100%. So like there's a quarter of you that's still awake, And so I'm kind of like watching the screen and listening to the conversations and everything that are going on inside there, even though I'm not really picking up on it's hard for me to focus. It's probably a good way to put it. And it's kind of like I keep drifting off into la la land. But eventually I hear him, doing stuff, and he goes, "Oh, blood clots." Or he goes, "Oh, it's blood clots." He ends up saying that. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then a little bit later, they put the plug in, because it's a plug. They put a plug in, and that hurt. And they also ended up, dragging me out of there and all that other crap. And they come in and they tell me, "All right, so this is what happened. You have an aneurysm, So where your heart is, it's not an aortic aneurysm. Those are bad, right? It's not that. But on the side of the heart, like on the back of your hand, you've got all those veins. Well, you have your arteries and stuff like that on that heart too, And that is what had an aneurysm. And from there, it created blood clots. As far as they can tell, right? But they removed the blood clots. The truth is, they don't know when the aneurysm happened and what caused it. They don't know if it was something that happened that night, or if it ended up happening 10 years ago, or if it was something that's genetic, or what. They have no idea about what caused it, But because I don't have high blood pressure, it's unlikely that it was a blood pressure problem. But they have no idea. But they do know that there was a couple of blood clots. And when I stop and I think about it, it kind of makes sense, because I have such a low pulse rate. During the time I was being observed and I was asleep, my pulse would drop down to 37. It's slow, but I always feel fine. I just feel really relaxed, but it's really normal for it to go to 45, 46, 47, just if I'm just kicking it, just sitting there talking to somebody. If I'm relaxed, that's normal, but they don't like it lower than 50. And so you can kind of think of it as I have stagnant blood, and then so that increases the chances or likelihood of blood clotting. But so I had to stay in there another day and a half, a little bit more than that. But By that time, they're like, we're going to put you on blood thinners for the rest of your life. Pretty much, you know. And so you're going to be at a risk for bleeding a lot. So it's like being a hemophiliac, you know. We're going to make you a hemophiliac because you didn't have enough problems in your life. And then I was sent home, not yesterday, but the day before. And so today is day 2, free from the hospital. And I got to tell you, in many ways, the hospital is worse than the heart attack. You know, but there's all sorts of things that happen during the time that you're going through a heart attack that, for me, I noticed. And some of them were incredibly annoying. Some of them were funny. You know, some of it was just kind of like so repetitive, you know, that you're just like, is this a joke? You know, but I had a heart attack, guys. And I'm not going to be doing anything except recovering for a few weeks. I was out and about yesterday, and I was trying to walk, you know, because where they did the throwing in the tubes and everything in my artery, it's kind of tender, and like it's like if it's kind of next to my, you know, my hoo-ha, and if you could see it right now, you would be like, ugh, because it's just, I got these huge bruises, you know, and because right next to an artery there's a lot of blood, you know, and it's sore, but I want to kind of walk, I want to move around, I want to prevent any type of blood clotting. I went to CVS yesterday to pick up my blood thinners. Oh, we don't have those. And I'm like, okay, well, when am I supposed to have it? We don't know when we're going to have any. We ran out. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll just take aspirin, you know, until I get them. But part of me is like, how could you guys not know that you were running low on blood thinners when heart failure and heart problems is like one of the leading causes of death around here? How can CVS is so awful? It's just, you know, I'll tell you this, I'm going to tell you a secret. I used to work for them. I used to be one of their supervisors. And I can tell you all sorts of stuff about CVS that the public doesn't know. Like if you want to crash their cash registers, there's a way that you can do it using your cell phone. I figured that one out, and I did it many a times after I had quit there, because I wanted to. And see, their cash registers. Real quick before I continue on this, they I don't know if they changed them, but they were running on like a 286 or 386, right? Like the old processors. It was like Windows 95 maybe. It's like really old, and it takes a long time for them to boot up. So when you crash it, when you cause it to crash, they're not using that for a good 5-10 minutes, at least, you know. And then I figured out a way to do it using my cell phone and their app. When they scan my thing, like, oh, do you have the, you know, thing for? I'm like, yes. So instead of entering your phone number, and then so they're gonna sit there, ring you up, and then it's gonna freeze up on them and crash, and then they'll take you to the next register, and then you'll freeze it up and crash, and then you'll say, forget it, I'm not interested, and you just leave. And I did that a couple times. It's petty, but I'm a petty person, you know. But yeah, so I had a heart attack, and it's my first heart attack. It's my first blood clots. It's my first aneurysm. It's the first time that I had to stay in a hospital more than just like in and out of service stuff. And, you know, it is what it is. I can still feel, like, I don't know how to explain it. I can still kind of feel the discomfort, you know, like I did the first night. But it's really mild, you know, like not even a 1. But it's like I can still feel a little something like right here, you know. And it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. I just want to heal up so that way I can kind of continue my life. But yeah, I'm putting everything pretty much on hold for a while. until I can get everything situated. But that's about it, guys. Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, I'm going to have another video that I'm going to be posting, but it's this one behind me, and it's just a bunch of clips of the time that I was in the hospital and some of the things that were happening and some of the thoughts that I was having. And, one of them is going to upset some people. I can already tell you, because it's about religion. I'm not a religious person. Okay, I'm pretty much agnostic, and I can poke holes and destroy pretty much everybody's religion that they've come up with so far, but I don't know if there really is no God. Part of me thinks that it would make sense that there would be some type of supreme being or being. Something would tell me that, but I don't know. I really don't know. I'm ignorant. But as soon as you start trying to define your God, then I can start poking holes in that, right? Because you can just use logic and realize that two things cannot coexist, But anyway, the point being is I did a video about it, and my take on it, because everybody's like, oh, I'm going to pray for you. And it's my take on how I interpret that, And I'm not telling anybody not to have their faith or whatever. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that, when it comes to me, I've thought about this a lot, probably more than most people should, countless hours I've thought about it, and I've done as much research as I possibly could because I needed to know the answer, because it was important to me. And I basically came up with agnostic. Just take the default position of not knowing, right? It's the safest and it's the most honest. But anyway, that's that. So that if you're one of those religious people that are like, oh my God, I can't, then you probably won't like that portion of the video. Okay, just letting you know now, is there'll be a trigger warning for those that are of the faith, and it doesn't matter what faith you are, because I'm pretty much going after everybody in that one, right? And I'm not going after people. So I'm not saying, oh, I'm not doing that. It's the concept I'm going after. But anyway, guys, that's my video. Hopefully y'all are doing well. Take care of yourself. And it is what it is. One thing I failed to mention. My arteries were clean. And everybody else in my family, they're all clogged up. But my arteries were clean, man. And I eat a lot of carne asada fries, a lot, and they're clean. I think that might have been my secret, carne asada fries. But anyway, that's my video, guys. Pretty soon the other video will be up, and take care of yourself, all that other good stuff, and la 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 la. So there it is. All right, have a good one.